Dun 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 dun. Welcome to GWI. I'm Sam,
I'm Tom.
and this is our
Wait,
Star.
wait. I don't know if anybody knows about this movie. We may need to like primer them for it. It's a
Oh.
little movie. It's called Star Wars. This is episode 8, right? Is it 8?
Yes.
Yes. And
I need
then
to stop assuming people know what this thing is.
I don't. I mean, I feel like nobody knows about it. Nobody's been talking about it. I haven't seen like 5 million fucking articles that I've had to not read because I didn't get to see the movie until Sunday.
Some people were late bloomers, I see.
Hey, I waited for my brother and sister-in-law because, some of us don't have mandates to go see the movie with.
Damn you. Damn you all to hell. I got to see it the day it came out.
You did.
It was a great movie.
I was jealous of it, I'll admit. Not the mandate part, though.
I see how this is. Well, so how was your brother date, though? How did you enjoy the movie?
I was the third wheel, so I was kind of, my own seat.
Nah, you gotta love being third wheel.
Yeah,
It's fun
used to it.
sometimes. It happens.
Before I do anything else, let me say spoiler warning, spoiler warning, spoiler warning. If you haven't seen the movie, probably don't listen to this.
And if you didn't know already, there's gonna be some spoilers in this, so don't listen.
Yeah, there may also be spoilers for the other Star Wars movies, so if you really want to see any of the Star Wars movies before listening to this, that might be the route to go, because there's going to be spoilers. I'm not really going to hold back, and at this point, I don't care.
Yeah, so just stop, and if you haven't seen Star Wars, reevaluate your life and move on. So Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I think it was a fucking great movie. Went through it, first half of the movie, I was kind of not sure if it was going to be a great movie. I thought it might be a kind of good, shitty movie. And then something happened right in the middle. And, well, the middle, I think, was when Yoda came. And that, I don't know, things started changing. Right around when Yoda came, I don't know. The Force just awakened within me.
Oh, hey, look at you. Call back to the movie before. I feel like that might have been like the end of the second act or something like along those lines. Because by
Yes.
that point, Luke starts, doing what he's supposed to do. My opinion of the movie, it's a good movie. As a fan of the series, I feel like they're doing a good job of continuing the story, at the very least better than Lucas was doing when he decided to go back and do the prequels, and then with whatever he may have potentially been doing after the original trilogy, whatever his plans were. This is probably better than that, and so as a fan, I enjoy it. As a person, I'm very conflicted.
Understandable. I can understand, and I do understand why everybody's conflicted. I've been seeing things going back and forth on this so much. I understand why people think the movie sucks.
I don't think it sucks. Personally, I don't think it sucks. I think there was some really bad storytelling at parts of this. I mean, you can tell. So okay, I'm gonna kind of dive into a few things here.
Jump in.
You can really tell in this movie that Poe was never supposed to be in it. He was supposed to die in Force Awakens. There was a late rewrite, and he's in this movie now. And he really just screwed everything up. He fucked up everything. He goes in, he's like, "Oh, we're gonna do the bombing run, even though they're destroying everything. Bring out the bombers, and then they lose all of their bombers. They do destroy the dreadnought, so yay, moral victory, I guess there. But everyone is now dead. And they no longer have bombers.
Exactly.
Along with whoever else they might have lost along that run. Go a little bit further. He decides, forget whatever these people, they don't actually have a plan. But also, they didn't tell him the plan. So I guess that's part of the issue there. But regardless, he decides, we're going to go off and do our own thing again. And he sends Finn and Rose to go find a code breaker so they can just stop this tracking device that now can track them through light speed travels that couldn't happen before, and that whole sequence was worthless. And if Poe didn't send them on that, then like 90% of the Rebel Force would still be alive.
Yeah, there were definitely some issues with him being around and causing issues. I did not know that he was originally supposed to die in Force Awakens, but I can see that he was kind of just thrown into situations in this
Yeah.
movie. I don't know. His areas.
He didn't grow as a character at all, and then they leave the movie with him acting like he's going to be a leader in the next movie. What did he learn? He failed repeatedly, and never actually figured out how to create a cohesive plan other than just to run headlong into something.
Yeah, I don't know. He's an interesting character, and I'm not really sure where he's gonna go. I mean, Leia's still around, obviously, so she can mentor him, but is he really going to be a good leader? I mean, Han, going into the Poe versus Han, they are not the same character. They are definitely not the same character at all. Han was selfish. He didn't give a fuck. He did what he wanted to do because he got his own gains through it.
Yeah.
Where Poe, he's trying to do the morally right thing, but just
He's
fucking
also
up in the process.
He's also selfish in the way that he goes about it because he's going for the glory, which is a very Han thing to do. Much like what you're saying, I don't think that they are an analog of the same character. He has half of what makes Han, and Finn has the other half.
Yeah.
So Finn is my favorite character out of the series so far, as far as new characters are concerned. And part of the reason I say he's half of what makes Han is he's fighting for his friends, mainly Rey, because Rey is like the first person he finds after he breaks free of the First Order. He breaks the programming that the First Order did to him that made him a trooper. And as that broke down, Rey was like one of the first people he meets. I think Poe was actually the first one. Then he meets Rey.
Yes.
So those are his friends, and he's trying to do everything he can to protect them. But because of that programming, he doesn't I don't think he understands a lot of the social norms. So when it comes to him and Rose and him and Rey and like this potential love triangle thing, I don't think he understands any of it. I don't think he quite grasps the idea of a romantic relationship because that programming's still there. The kiss from Rose kind of creates that cue for him to now recognize that stuff. And so it'll be interesting what happens. Obviously, you see him at the end of the movie. He's a little more attached to Rose when they're on the Falcon. So you're seeing the programming break down more, and you can. That kind of goes back to what Phasma says to him just before she falls into the pit of you're just a bug in the system.
Yeah.
He's a bug to the program.
He's a ghost code.
Yeah, he broke it. So now he's free. I mean, they're not clones. They are people. They're individual people, but they come, if I remember correctly, they come in at a young age, and they're trained much like a Roman army would be trained to, from the young age all the way up to adulthood, to become part of it. So you're programmed as a fighter throughout your life. This is your training. This is your programming, and you break that, and you don't know what to do with yourself, and he freaks out. That's why he attaches to Rey, attaches to Poe.
Very true. I could see that.
And that development, he had the biggest development as a character in the movie.
Oh yeah, he had a great amount of development.
And that's why I think he's my favorite character. Rey develops a little bit, but not much. Poe doesn't develop at all. Rose is kind of thrown in there.
Yeah, I think Rey topped it out for me in this one. The struggle, not necessarily even the struggle between the light and the dark side, because it's kind of both in her.
Yeah.
But not fearful of the dark side, just running to it, as Luke says. I didn't expect you just to go to it.
Right.
Like, trying to train her, and then all of a sudden she just dives towards the darkness, not, like, cautiously approach it and, like, put the toes in the water. No, just fucking runs at it. And
Right.
you gotta love that ambition.
Yeah, no, I
Not
do.
to be afraid.
And then that's why she's my second favorite character, but I just didn't feel like she developed much. Like, there was a lot of really cool conversation through the Force connection between her and Kylo Ren. That was a lot of really good dialogue in the movie, but it really doesn't develop much. Her whole premise in the entire movie is, wait, this can tell me who my parents are?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go find out who my parents are,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why she runs to it, and that's why she believes Kylo when he tells her that. Whether it's true or not, I really hope it's true. Let's be honest. I hope it's true. Because it'd be really nice to see that the series isn't going to continue to hinge on the Skywalker bloodline.
Yes, and nor do I think it should. I mean, I would love for it to be that her parents are nobodies. I mean, go back to Anakin. He is apparently a fatherless child. Literally, his mom says there is no father. I carried him, I birthed him, everything.
Right.
Now, that could be taken in another way of he's a bastardized kid and the dad left really early on and she doesn't recognize him as a father. I could see it taken as that way too. But I believe they were kind of trying to go for the Jesus-y, prophet-y type deal.
Yeah.
Not sure on that, but that's my speculation.
Yeah, no, that's kind of.
And so to have that reoccurring again, the Force sensitives coming out through other bloodlines, there's not the monarchistical, I guess if that's a word, I don't know, powerhouse family out there.
Right.
And so Rey could easily be just a very sensitive Force user and a very powerful Force sensitive user, and she needs training.
Oh yeah. And if they do go back on that and they make her part of the Skywalker family, I'd be very, very disappointed in the next movie, because being a nobody gives you that sense that you don't have to be born into something to be great.
Exactly.
You can still have the ability to be great and come from nothing. And it'd be really cool to see that. And you also get that same thing kind of comes through when you get the kid in the stable at the very end, where he uses the Force power to pull the broom to him, kind of nonchalantly. So that's interesting that he just kind of does it, and he doesn't. There's like no, he's not like, oh, I can do this. He's like, he's been doing it. So it's, how did he just manage to do it without any training?
It's one of those things. So I equate it to, if anybody knows the Wheel of Time, a Wilder. People with the Force, people with magic powers. Even if they're not trained, there are going to be some of those individuals who just naturally know how to finesse something. When it's part of you, some
Fair
people learn. People are just instinctually good at some stuff.
I will say, coming from an animal background, the time he spends with the animals, being so, you see him earlier on, he's living in that stall. You see him before that, he's kind of standing up for the animals. That connection to wildlife to begin with, I feel like probably also adds to his connection to the Force.
Oh, of course.
And that connection to life itself.
Also, I don't know that it's like directly like that kid has the Force because Luke and Snoke's are gone, but there's going to be some rebalancing in the Force. Two of the higher tier Sith and ex-Jedi are gone.
Yeah.
Like a huge power on both sides of the Force is left, and maybe that's already in itself balancing. I'm not sure. But maybe there's room for more Force sensitives out there again, if that's how this thing works. I mean,
they're kind of reinventing the Force in this trilogy, so
yes,
there's room for interpretation. For some of that.
Yeah, the Force is much more apparent in this movie than any others. Like the power of the Force, what it is capable of doing.
It's I don't think you said you didn't play Force Unleashed, right?
No, I did not.
The Force powers in this movie are very reminiscent of that. It was a badass. The first one was a badass game, where Starkiller. See again, spoilers for other Star Wars things. See, in the game, Starkiller he is Darth Vader's apprentice. Is who he is. He's the secret apprentice. Takes place between 4 and 5 or 5 and 6. Something like that. It takes place in there, in between one of the sets of movies. And the whole point is Vader is teaching him to be the next Sith apprentice, so that way Vader can become the next Sith Lord, because there can only ever be 2 of them. And at one point, Starkiller rips one of the Star Destroyers. He rips it out of the sky and crashes it to the Earth.
That's pretty badass.
So, when in Force Awakens, when I saw Kylo Ren stop the Force bolt, the laser bolt in the air, and it just stuck. It just stays there. Seeing that was very reminiscent of the Force Unleashed game, which had this very visceral Force power coming from your user. All
right, and
they're not canon anymore because we've wiped all of that away.
But I guess it goes to show the power of the Force has been established in other realms of Star Wars. Like my buddy Brian has told me that in the past, in I think it's Rebels or whatnot, there has been other Jedi or Force-sensitive people who have survived outer space. I mean, Leia just coming back from theoretically the dead. I don't. Did she really die? Did her heart stop? Blah blah blah. All that stuff, or did the Force? Yeah. So she may not have ever fully died. But nonetheless, the Force saved her from instant death in a vacuum, or I don't know if it's instant, but in the cold, dark vacuum of space.
Right.
And So now the Force, the power that people had been looking for to keep life sustainable or to bring life back is right there with Leia. This is what Anakin was searching for all along, and his daughter has it.
Yeah.
Or she somehow learned it in the past, let's say, 50 years.
I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier, where some people, that becomes an instinctual thing. It was like I told you at one point, they did make an offhand comment that she was very force sensitive. You know, her and Luke have about the same amount of power, being twins. They made that comment in The Force Awakens, but she didn't want to be trained, so she was never trained as a Jedi. So the Force power within her, for some reason, instinctually reached out at that moment. I guess akin to like a mutant getting its powers, you know, in a stressful situation, those powers emerge. It just does it. Because her body wasn't just somehow destroyed in that blast initially, and she was just sucked out into space. Her body was still alive, so the Force instinctually, the Force within her or her Force power instinctually reaches out and does that ability.
Yeah. Makes sense. And I mean, I know a lot of people hinge on that of like, that's bullshit. She shouldn't have been just able to survive that. But it's like, to me, it's also, this is the second to last movie of this trilogy of trilogies.
Right.
There's only going to be one more. Things are ramping up. Anything when it's getting towards that end, things are ramping up. You're seeing the real true power.
This movie didn't really leave you with much to go with what's going to happen in the next movie, other than Kylo Ren and Rey are going to have at least one final battle to decide everything. Something else I just thought of. That whole Force thing with Leia also comes back to showing you why Kylo Ren is so strong. Because his mom having those Force powers, you know, his grandfather had them. Han never had anything. So his mom had it, and now he has it. So that may have built on each other and might explain why he is so powerful within the Force.
That would make sense.
And not just because he's a descendant of one powerful Force user, but of many powerful Force users. Not just, oh, well, Luke has powers and Leia doesn't and Han doesn't, and now Kylo Ren is super powerful.
That's true. Because he is the only known descendant of the Skywalker line.
Yeah, in this continuity.
Known, yes.
Yeah, in this continuity.
I mean, it's possible, still not going to throw it out there, that there couldn't be other Skywalkers, but yeah, he's the only known one. And he's powerful as shit, and you know what? I don't blame Luke for going to that moment of weakness and trying to kill him.
Yeah.
I probably would have done the same. All morals held high, blah, blah, blah. I like to think I'm a good person. But you see that darkness seeding inside of someone, and you know it's going to surpass you.
Well, yeah, you see it. You know it's going to surpass you. But think about, you know, what his father went through.
What his father did.
Yeah.
He killed, I mean, I'm assuming Luke found out at some point that Anakin slaughtered all those Jedi kids.
I mean, I would assume he figured that out. But I mean, just the lore of Vader, what he would, you know, obviously once he figures out that Vader is his dad, and then I imagine that there's at least legends that come from all of that. So I would imagine hear at least something.
Yeah.
And then Yoda being his master, I imagine maybe an off-screen. Well, at that point it wasn't a movie yet, so you can assume off-screen the Yoda probably gave him the full rundown of what happened to the Order.
Yeah, I'm sure he couldn't become a Jedi master without learning in some way of what happened. I mean, everybody might have died, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And no one told him. But there's a reason he's trying to protect the last of the Jedi sacred artifacts, the books, on the island. I mean...
Well, they were on the island.
Yes, they were. And that's a really interesting point. I mean, obviously, so Rey went to meet up with Kylo knowing that she had to carry the power of the Jedi with her, like the good of the Jedi, the light side with her. She might be going to reckon with the dark side. She might be doing whatever, joining forces with them, whatever they were trying to contemplate at that point in time, whatever she thought was going to happen, she knew that she needed to bring the light side with her.
Well, I think she brought those because she never really got trained, and she figured that these things were calling to her, and Luke told her that this is like the cornerstone of the Jedi Order, of the Jedi religion, is what he actually says. So I think she grabs them in a hope that since Luke won't train her, she can train herself via these books. Is why I think she grabs them. Not that, and not knowing if Kylo is gonna join or if he's gonna fight. I mean, she sees the conflict in him, so she knows there's a possibility, and she wants to go and reach out to that possibility and bring the good out of him.
I think she also doesn't believe that the Jedi Order should die legitimately. Like, she kept questioning Luke about it, and I think that's part of the reason she needs the history to continue with it.
Well, I think she needs it. So the whole thing, like, again, for her, this whole movie has been her trying to find a place in the universe, quite literally, and figuratively. So she's searching for her family, searching for her parents. And then she goes, they even say in the movie, she sees Leia and Han as surrogate parents, and she sees Luke as a surrogate parent.
Oh, yeah.
And Luke won't train her, but she has this strong force power. Now she knows more about at least a little bit more about the force power from the little bit of training she got from Luke. So she sees these books as a place to define herself and to create that place in the universe for her. And I think that's why she's like, I'm going to go get these. I'm going to take them because this is the only way I'm going to find my place in the universe. Because if Kylo won't train me, then I don't have anything.
Very true. Yeah, I can see that.
And then Yoda showing up. I'm assuming Yoda knows that those books weren't there anymore.
Because he called Force Lightning.
Yeah, because he burns down the tree and makes the comments to Luke about the books and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think he didn't want Luke to make it inside to realize the books weren't there. And then that's why he uses the lightning to burn the tree down.
And what's interesting is he tells Luke you can't give up on Rey.
Yeah.
But Luke never directly interacts with Rey again throughout his life.
Yeah, throughout I was living.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure Luke's everybody comes back as a Phantom who's a Jedi Master.
Right.
I mean, even Darth Vader did at the end of the end of the 6th movie.
Yeah. That's something else. It would have been, so I understand why they didn't do it, but it would have been really cool to have the other Jedi Masters come to Luke in that time, even if it was just Obi-Wan and Anakin coming back to him. All three, like, so Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Yoda all being a strong connection to Luke. Obi-Wan and Yoda both being his masters. Anakin obviously being his father, and trying to be a master to him as well. Obviously, Luke rejected that particular training, but all three of them are Phantoms. I mean, in continuity, at one of Lucas's last re-editings of the original trilogy, you see all of the different ghosts at the end of the movies.
Yep.
You even see Qui-Gon at the end of the first movie. He's a Jedi ghost as well. Obviously, Luke doesn't have a direct connection to him, so that makes sense for not having him come back. But it would have been cool to see the other guys come back. But I also understand why you don't, because, well,
maybe next movie.
Well, no. So the issue you're gonna have, it's a controversial issue. And the controversial issue is, what actor do you have come back and play Obi-Wan? What actor do you have come back and play Darth Vader or Anakin?
Rogue One, they've proved they don't need actors anymore.
Well,
they've done this,
but it comes across being very fake,
but that could work with the Phantoms because they already are glowy blue, and dead.
But again, which depiction of Obi-Wan do you pick? Which depiction of Anakin, Darth Vader do you pick? Bringing Anakin back looking like Darth Vader, there's an issue of that because then it makes him seem evil, because that was the evil persona of Anakin. So if you bring him back as Anakin, do you bring back Hayden Christensen, who everyone hated?
Of course not.
Then who do you bring back to be?
You would reconstruct his Phantom self from the end of the 6th movie. That would be the only way, I think.
I don't know, but because, I mean, even at the end of the 6th movie, if you're following continuity, the last edits have Hayden Christensen in the 6th movie. The ghosts have changed. If you go back and depending on which edits you're watching, the ghosts that you're seeing at the end of those movies are different.
I didn't notice that. I haven't went back and watched anything.
I remember him making one of those edits at one point, especially after the original trilogy finished. I remember him going back, and one of the edits he made at one point was that.
So you're saying it's no longer an old man Vader or Anakin at the end of Return of the Jedi?
Correct. That was I mean, it may have changed again.
I was gonna say I've never seen like young Anakin there.
It's been a while, but I remember Hayden. If I remember correctly, at one point Hayden Christensen was edited into as the Phantom Ghost in.
Then thank God George Lucas has no rights to these movies anymore. Thank God.
And then again, so you also run the thing of which Obi-Wan do you have Ewan McGregor come back and be the ghost, or do you find a new old actor to be old Obi-Wan?
They got enough video of him that can digi him in.
But it becomes controversial because I mean, as a Force ghost in Luke's projection of himself, for example, in Luke's projection of himself on the Salt Mine planet, he is younger. That is his younger self.
Yes.
He did not project himself as he was.
No, definitely not.
Also, it's why he has his lightsaber that was destroyed.
Which was a hint to me that there was something fishy going on.
Also, the fact that he didn't make footprints on the salt mine.
That I did not notice. But good call, because they definitely do show the guy making red footprints right at the beginning of the battle scene when he walks out there. So I'm going to have to rewatch that and verify that. I'm sure that they don't, but man, that's a good hint.
Yeah.
That was a good key in.
There's a few of those. But that's my point, is like, so he makes that projection of himself. When he comes back as a ghost, is that what he's going to look like? Because that's how he sees himself. And
That's
then
true.
the Force ghost. So in that case, can the Force ghost change their
Because
appearances?
Darth Vader was not old Darth Vader when he came back. He was old man in robes.
Yeah. I mean, then obviously you have Hayden Christensen being the now ghost, which I mean, in a sense, makes sense because that's when he died as a light Force user. It's when he became dark. Is as he became older. So his younger self was the light user. I mean, you can argue that at the very end of the movie, when he kills the Sith Lord for good reasons, he becomes a light user again when he dies. But that's complicated, and you have a whole thing to dive into if you try and do that.
Oh, yeah. But going back to the projection, going back to the Force being so powerful, like, man, this is the first time in any of the movies you really have cross-platform communication or projection.
The fact
I think it's hinted at before.
The fact that Snoke actually connects Ren and Rey, Kylo and Rey get connected through the Force, so now they can see each other and talk to each other without actually being there.
Yeah, and then they still do that after Snoke is dead. So,
well, I think the
connection's probably established.
I think the connection's established, and unless Snoke would have removed the connection, which obviously he was just going to remove Rey, and that would have severed the connection because she'd have been dead.
This is true. Yeah.
I think unless he or either one of them grow powerful enough to sever the connection, I think it's permanently going to be there.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
It also helps make Kylo Ren more relatable and humanized because you get to see him in a more vulnerable state when they have those one-on-ones.
Yeah. Well, even without that, just showing him not being able to kill his mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, he turned away from wanting to be Darth Vader. That was, he killed Han, he killed his dad, but if he really wanted to be that next Sith Lord, he would have killed her.
Yeah.
And he's still too human. He still has too much of something else drawing him away from the dark side. He hasn't fully surrendered to the dark side.
Right. And they've established that repeatedly in the movie with the confliction within himself.
Oh, yes, he's very conflicted.
So there's all kinds of stuff in there that they talk about and they go back and forth with. And even, at the end of the movie, there's still a little bit of confliction there when he's fighting Luke. I mean, he obviously has reason to hate Luke because he woke up and just saw Luke there with the lightsaber and assumed the worst, which, I mean, was what Luke was going to do, except he did have a change of heart before he did it.
Yes.
But obviously, as someone who just wakes up and sees a lightsaber over their face,
you're going to react.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, I mean, Luke.
Which is reasonable.
Yeah. I mean, when Luke told Leia that he created the monster, he might not have been lying.
No, he might not have. But, I mean, there is something to say from Leia's side where she, you have to understand that
you have to give up at some point.
Yeah, you have to grow up at some point, and you can't create what isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot like hypnosis. You can't hypnotize someone to go rob a bank if they don't want to rob a bank.
Yeah, I mean,
or
just the general law of energy. You can't create something. There has to be something to create. and change forms or whatever.
Yeah.
There was conflicting things inside Kylo to begin with.
Yeah.
And it might be interesting to find out a little bit more backstory on him. Like, why was he so conflicted already?
Yeah. It would also be interesting to see what else comes from the Knights of Ren. Obviously, he left with some of the students.
Yes.
So I guess you can assume those are the Knights of Ren.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be interesting to see who those characters actually are.
Yes.
Assuming that they will finally make an appearance.
I if they have an appearance, they're going to make it next, because what else is there in the First Order? I mean,
Right.
there's Kylo Ren. There's the wussy-ass blonde dude. I can't remember his name.
Oh,
Or
the commander guy.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name.
Yeah, he's
The-
not important.
They didn't.
Well, he's important, but
Yeah.
he's dumb.
But yeah, he was just a character.
Yeah.
They really didn't make any references, like other than that offhand one, I think, about the kids, him leaving with some of the students. Did they ever bring up the Knights of Ren in this one? Because I remember they brought him up in Force Awakens.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Just the quick he left with some of them.
Yeah. Okay. It's one of those things. I would like to see more of that.
Yeah, it should be interesting where they go with the First Order, because, I mean, yeah, the Rebels, or the Resistance, there's only like a couple dozen of them. Maybe a dozen at best, also, but then the First Order is severely, like, cut down, too. I mean, Snoke's is gone. They're curious if they're going to go back to any of the Snoke stuff. There's never really an answer that I know of in the canon of what or who he is.
Yeah, there isn't. They don't really explain to you who he is. He's just he's
like
Snoke's.
He was obviously above Darth Sidious, I'm assuming,
That's
the entire time.
The thought is that I thought at one point there was a rumor that he came from before Darth Sidious and all of them.
Yeah, there was a rumor that he was Darth Sidious's trainer, but Darth Sidious killed his trainer.
Yeah.
So, and that's still canon, in my
again,
understanding.
Was it him, or was it one of them? Actually, was supposedly the one who knew how to resurrect life or to heal or something like that. So that I think that was why they were saying it could have been him, because if that was true, if what Darth Sidious was saying to Anakin about that, then he would have known how to heal himself, which might explain why he's
got
head
that
is
beautiful
all,
face.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, and it could be very possible. There's a lot of possibilities that go along with that, because it wasn't explained at all.
It wasn't.
And it's also one of those things, like Darth Sidious killed his master, and now Kylo Ren did too. So maybe he is taking another step towards the dark side. He didn't kill his mother.
No.
But he still has a chance to kill his mother.
Yeah.
He doesn't know
well,
that,
I mean,
though.
he does become...
Does he ever realize that Leia's still alive? I don't know if he knows that she's alive.
Yeah, no, that's a...
He blows a hole in the doorway, but does he know that she's there? I don't think so.
No, I don't think
I think he believes that Leia's dead.
Yeah, unless he gets the idea that she was there because Han's dice, well, a Force apparition of those dice were there.
Mm-hmm.
They fade in his hand. So Leia left them, so I guess he might question why they were there.
Yes, he might have an inkling of that, for sure.
But as far as him seeing her, he never actually sees her alive, as far as I know.
Yeah, no, I don't believe he does. So that'll be something interesting in the next movie, for sure.
Sticking with like some of the Force user stuff, I'm curious to see if Finn will ever become a Jedi-ish character, due to the fact that in Force Awakens he does use the lightsaber. I mean, I've never seen anybody except for Force users use lightsabers. I mean, I guess unless you count Grievous, because Grievous killed them, and then he was using those, and he wasn't quite human either. So
he was cyborg.
Yeah. So I don't know if that kind of changes that at all.
I don't know. I kind of hope not.
I don't know. I mean, I would like to see him as a low-level Force user. I mean, I imagine he would have more melee skill than Force skill.
Yeah.
But the Force would also explain why he can break that programming of the First Order for being a soldier.
Makes sense. I don't know. I have to say, I wish she died.
You wish he died?
I wish she had flown into the fucking battering ram. I don't know. In my opinion,
I mean,
I think he should have died.
It would have been a good ending for him. I would have accepted that ending. I wouldn't have seen that as a cop out for removing a character. I would have seen it as
fitting.
Yeah. As him doing one final act to
destroy,
to save his
them,
friends.
and against the First Order.
Yeah.
One last final hurrah of, fuck you guys, you fucked me up.
Yeah, and at the same time I do, well, okay, so what happens with Rose after that, we'll discuss. But I do appreciate Rose's explanation of the only way you were going to overcome the dark side is by fighting for what we love. Not
Yes.
necessarily her actual love for Finn, but the figurative.
Yeah, the story
like,
behind that.
Yeah, you can't, you take a life for a life or an eye for an eye. Everyone's dead or blind. You can't keep that up. So at some point, you've got to fight for something right, or it's just going to continue to be death and destruction.
Exactly. It's a never-ending cycle.
Her kissing Finn, while I don't feel like it was forced, I do feel like it was never really like explained. They do have the whole casino thing where they try to make him, or she tries to give an explanation of where she comes from and why she dislikes things the way she does, and that's supposed to, I guess, make Finn like her. But again, because Finn's still removing that programming, I don't think he quite catches any of the cues until he is kissed by her, and I think that finally, like I said, adds that cue in.
Yeah,
there.
she's trying to humanize him for sure.
Yeah.
And, I mean, going to the casino thing, I know a lot of people had
I feel like the whole thing was just pointless. Like, okay, so we land on the beach, we go to find the MacGuffin, we get captured because we landed on the beach. Now we find a new MacGuffin. That MacGuffin, gets you out and gets you there. You get back to your ship, without him because you ditched him because he wasn't the MacGuffin you were originally after. Your ship gets blown up, so now you got to find a new ship. So then you find a new ship, which happens to be where your MacGuffin is.
Yes.
And then your MacGuffin betrays you anyways. Yeah. And they were planning an escape that actually would have worked regardless. Mm-hmm. So it's just pointless. The whole thing was just, I felt like needlessly done.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still kind of curious what role he has to play. I see him right now as a Lando.
So this kind of comes from the fact that I'm a Marvel fan and whatnot. I've seen the Marvel movies. I'm pretty sure it's him who plays the Collector in the Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers, like the Marvel Universe stuff. So it'd be great to see, like, this is the beginning of the Collector. Like, somehow this is where Marvel and Star Wars combine, and this is where his origin comes from.
Well, it is Disney.
I know this isn't going to happen, but it'd still be really entertaining for me, just as a fan of everything.
Yeah.
The super nerd in me is like, oh, yay, super crossovers.
I feel like he's not done for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I have a feeling he's going to be the Lando type character who he did some shitty shit, some shady stuff, but maybe he really does need to come back and help.
Maybe. Or he'll just be the one who's just going to keep selling everyone off to the highest bidder.
Which is understandable.
Yeah. I mean, he makes the point in the ship about these guys aren't just selling to the bad guys, they're selling to the good guys too, which is, I mean, real world setup as well.
And that's the whole casino thing. Like, I think that was one of Disney's metaphors for the new, or not the new world, the world. Like how things are going right now. I think that was part of Disney's like whole allegory of the world and the current situation of things that are going on. You got all these arms dealers controlling the world, controlling these wars, and then you have all the low-life people trying to help the system and keep the system moving, and all of that's just running the system, and you're just part of it. You're either in it to help it, you're in it to sell to the people, and it's one of those things. I don't know exactly where I'm going with it, but it's, I think, Disney's allegory for the world right now.
Okay. I mean, it could be. Like I said, the whole thing was just pointless, and that's what bugged me. Like, and I think that's a lot where the conflict comes for me. Like, there's this whole section of that act where all this stuff's happening that never actually needed to happen.
But they still pull some key things back to it. At the end of the movie, the kid using the Force.
Yeah, I mean they do go back to that kid. That introduction of the kid gives you that. So that you have that, but at the same time, you could have just cut to anybody. And the whole point of that is to show that there are these nobody Force users. You could have cut to anybody. You'd be like, who's this person using the Force?
And
you don't know.
Not only that there's nobody Force users, though, it's that no one answered that Resistance call. But these kids are playing Luke Skywalker and shit in their like little shitty stable.
Yeah.
They are, without knowing it, part of the resistance. They are the thought process of the resistance.
Oh yeah. They're gonna feed
And
into it.
they're the seeds of thought that need to be growing in this universe.
Yeah.
And I think that, if nothing else, it was showing these kids and that the seeds are fruiting.
Yeah.
The thoughts and the resistance and everything. And not only the resistance, force is being seeded. Like, the universe is going through a change.
Yeah, it is. But again, I feel like you could have brought those kids in at the end of the movie, quickly done a blurb of showing that these kids being slaves, that's what they are, and then cutting. You fade to night, and they're playing with their toys like they were, and you still get that same thing without the rest of the casino world.
Yeah.
Without all this other needless, running around for MacGuffins that you really didn't need to begin with.
Yeah, it happens. I don't know. We'll see what the characters who came out of that, how they develop.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know that that kid will necessarily make a return. He was just he was meant to just be to show that there are these nobodies out there. You don't have to come from greatness to have great force power or to be a natural with the force power.
Exactly.
So,
but yeah, I mean, even, I don't know. They're still doing stuff with that casino and everything. Like with Moggs, like, what was she doing? She was in that whole battle.
Oh yeah, the reason she couldn't come in, she was dealing with some sort of dispute.
Yeah, and the uniform dispute or whatever it was. And so there's some other underlying things still going around, obviously, everywhere. It'll be interesting to see what comes of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So another character, if you want to, what do you think of for Phasma? What do you think Phasma? What do you think's going to happen with Phasma? I should say.
I don't know what to think, but I hope she's not dead. I want to see Phasma develop more.
She feels like the comparison to Boba Fett for the movie. Not that she'll necessarily be as beloved maybe as Boba Fett. We'll see. I mean, only time will tell with that.
Oh yeah, exactly.
But I feel like that's who her character is supposed to be, like built on or built towards.
I could see it for sure.
I mean, honestly, if she came back, I wouldn't be surprised if she came back under the Mandalorian.
Yes,
that's what I was looking for. Mandalorian banner, and just being a bounty hunter. Snoke's gone, so maybe she doesn't necessarily want to follow Kylo Ren. I don't know. I don't know how deep seated she ends up being in there. If she'll just kind of go that route, or what'll happen with her. I mean, I don't think she's dead. She could have fallen through and landed on a different deck. She could be dead. She could not be dead. But I don't think she is.
My buddy told me about a book that's written that's about Phasma, but about Phasma through like the third person. It's about someone telling Phasma's stories to someone else, and so you don't know how much of them are true, but it really paints her as this really dark person, and like there's some really sketchy shit that she could pull off, or maybe has pulled off, or you don't know, but builds up that dark side of that character. And I don't know, what he told me really intrigued me, and it makes there so much possibility of depth in the character, especially if that is canon. And I hope she's not dead. I hope that something comes of her, because I think it's Corellian ship is what Padme's ship was, and her armor is supposedly made out of that ship's armor plating. And so I think that could survive a fire. I mean, how big was that damn ship? There has to be multiple decks below her.
Right.
And who knows if that explosion was only on one of the decks and she falls through to another one and she hits the ground, she's fine. Not everybody on that ship's obviously dead.
Yeah, I mean, after that, you think of everyone who made it off.
Exactly.
So there's no reason to believe that she couldn't have made it off, or that there weren't recovery efforts after the fact to collect her in whatever floor she may have ended up on.
Yeah, because not every Star Destroyer was destroyed.
Yeah.
I mean, the First Order isn't down and out. They got a big blow to them, too, with Holdo doing her fucking light speed move. Epic.
Yeah, that was easily the coolest special effect I've seen in a long time. Like, it was weird because it almost seemed like they cut it out of an anime. Is how I viewed it when they were making those effects, like going black and white and seeing the white lines cut through things. It felt very much anime to me, but because I like animes, it just it was really really cool to see that.
It definitely was. And I don't know, going like, this goes into another topic too, even. Like, the Resistance doesn't have these big, powerful weapons. The Empire, the First Order, they've always been known to have the Death Star.
The
everything.
Resistance only has a Millennium Falcon at this point.
Yes, exactly. Now they do. But it's one of those things. They never had these big style weapons, but they were able to deal a killing blow to the biggest. Well, I don't know if it's a killing blow. Maybe they could patch up the damn thing. But to the biggest Star Destroyer in the fleet, Snoke's Star Destroyer, like
B-52
they turned
that
around.
they were using.
Yes, they turned around and just used their heart and their willingness not to give up, even if that is to commit the ultimate sacrifice of killing yourself in the process, but use it as a weapon against the enemy, all their heart. The enemy is too selfish to kill themselves in that way. In any of the main characters, they'll send off some stormtroopers or whatnot to go kill themselves, but they won't fight till the death knowing they're going to die.
Right.
At least none of them that I've seen are willing to do that.
Well, no, because they want to be around for the ruling portion of that.
And
you want your power, you want your reward for fighting the war.
And in this movie, the First Order didn't have any boss weapons. Like, they had the Dreadnought, which are very capable of being destroyed, as we saw. They aren't the all-powerful Death Star, blah, 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 that you need to take the entire mass of everything and make a huge plan to destroy it. But
also, you would think that they would have learned by now not to make a giant hole that'll just be the destructive point.
Yes, that is true.
I would think,
it's always one ship.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, so both Death Stars had the same weakness. So when the first one blew up, we'll just make the same one all over again, same weakness. It blows up. The Dreadnought has its hole. Like, all of them have like this one little port that if you drop the bomb into it, it's gonna blow everything up. Like,
they're just bad at designing things.
Why don't you build something without that port?
I don't know. I mean, well, going to the Death Star, they didn't know the weakness was built in.
Yeah, well,
theoretically. Now in canon, they don't know.
Yes, in canon for the first one, they didn't know that. But you would think after the first explosion, you
would
have figured it out.
Making bad designs.
You figure out, what did they do? They were aiming for an exhaust port, and that's what it was. Okay, so what do we do to stop them from doing that again? Let's build a different type of exhaust port.
Exactly. Yeah, no, they have bad engineering. Very bad engineering overall.
Yeah.
It definitely makes for interesting things to come.
Yeah, it does. I don't know. I mean, we'll see what they come up with for the next movie. There isn't, like I said, they don't leave you with much to say, here's what's going to happen. I mean, you're left with like a dozen or 24 rebels. You have the majority of the First Order. I mean, they're hurt, but they're not really hurting that much.
Yeah, they're obviously not on the run. The rebels are on, or the Resistance is on the run.
Yeah.
But they're still dealing these massive blows to the First Order while running. I mean, if not mechanically blowing things up, psychologically, Kylo's just fucked right now.
Oh, yeah.
He is inside of his head so bad right now.
Yeah.
He just killed Luke, but didn't kill Luke.
Yeah. He didn't quite... His rage went through it, and then he realizes that Luke's not there, and then Luke dies from the exhaustion of creating his projection.
And I mean, he should have known something was up. He should have known something was up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There was a number of reasons he should have. One, he should have remembered the fact that him and Rey ripped apart the lightsaber. You should also recognize that there were no footprints in the sand. The fact that Luke looked exactly the way he had looked the last time Kylo had seen him. And those are just a few things I can think of.
Yeah, but
here's a great question for you. So they've ripped apart Luke's lightsaber.
Yes.
So what does Rey do now? Is she supposed to go back? Do they go back to the bar thing? What's her face was fighting?
The uniform dispute, the Mags.
Yeah. Do they go back there and claim a different lightsaber? I would guess Luke's final lightsaber. That's what me and Ray were talking about. Does she go back and do that? Does she create a new lightsaber?
I
would like.
You got to remember, she's mechanically inclined.
Yeah, I would like to see them create a new lightsaber. Also, it would make sense if she combined the lightsaber with her staff.
Yeah. That'd be sweet because she's still practicing with her staff and everything.
Yeah.
I could see that happening. I could definitely see that happening. But yeah, she's mechanically inclined. I think she's going to be Jedi again and build a lightsaber because that's what it was one of their trials to collect the crystals and build their lightsaber.
Right. I would be interested to see how they decide the canon for creating the lightsaber, like how the lightsaber's light is decided, the color is decided. It's decided by the type of crystals you use.
Mm-hmm.
There was it's decided by your force sensitivity and your placement within the order. There's all kinds of different things. Like there were a few different iterations as to why you get different colors, and I'm curious to see what they decide in that movie if that's the case. If she actually goes through and collects crystals and makes her own. Personally, I really want to see the black lightsaber in one of these movies. I know she wouldn't be the one who has it, which wouldn't make sense for her to have a
would be sweet though.
But they've had the black lightsaber in a number of the games, and it always looks fucking sweet. There's like a white or a silver one that you can usually unlock as well, which is okay, but not nearly as cool as the black one with the white inside light that kind of reverberates out.
That sounds pretty sweet. I mean, but don't you want the purple one to return? Mace Windu to come back?
I mean, Mace Windu could come back. That'd be
fuck
interesting.
no.
I don't know.
No,
I don't know how you
dead.
do that. I don't know how
He's
you
been
do
dead.
that, but
Sorry, Samuel L. Jackson, you're not getting it. I hope.
But I mean, I feel like he's the only one who should have the pink lightsaber.
Yes. No, he definitely should not come back and be the only one who has a purple lightsaber, but it'd be hilarious if she did too.
It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yes, I agree. Any other key points that you were annoyed by that you liked?
Did you find it weird that Yoda used the Force Lightning?
Yeah.
And that's supposed to be a Sith move?
Yep, never seen anybody else call lightning before other than the Emperor.
Yeah. I mean, it was
in
always,
the movies.
Yeah, in the movies. But it was always
But yeah,
canonically
always.
it was a Sith-associated move.
Yes, in all the games, everything, it was always Sith. You had to go to the dark side to get lightning.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I was always on the dark side.
Yeah, or at least ventured far enough so you could unlock it.
Yes.
Then, I mean, so there's that, and then there's the fact that, do you find it weird that the Force ghosts and Luke's apparition or projection or whatever you want to call it are able to create a physical connection to the world? I mean, Yoda knocked him on the head with his staff.
Yes.
Luke's projection of his lightsaber was able to connect with Kylo Ren's lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until Kylo Ren went to go slice through him that you were like, it was official, like, oh, that's not really who that is. So they're able, even dead or not actually there, they're still able to create a connection with the real world.
Yeah, there's definitely some things for that I want to see this again for. Like, I was trying to remember if he ever actually did touch lightsabers. So they touch tips?
They did. They touched
tips.
tips. Well,
Okay.
shafts. They touched shafts.
They touched shafts. Wow, they went all at it.
They did.
They didn't even do tips.
Nope.
Man, just a tip. That's what you're supposed to do, just a tip.
They didn't know that.
Yeah, and with your nephew.
Yeah.
Awkward.
Really awkward.
I digress. Yeah, I didn't realize that they actually ever touched. Now that I look back on it, I think I was just thinking that all he did was dodge there the entire time. But yeah, if they touched,
I feel like they touched at least once.
they probably did, and I probably just don't remember.
There was a lot of dodging.
Yeah.
But
there
I
was a
swear,
huge amount of dodging.
Yeah, I swear
he went Matrix.
Yeah, he did. That was kind of
He went Neo.
interesting. I don't know how I felt about that. I was like, why are you ripping off another iconic series? There was a lot of dodging, but I swear he parried a couple of hits.
Very possible. I need to see the movie again, definitely.
Yeah.
But either way, yes, Yoda did knock him on the head, and Yoda did call Force Lightning. So it's confirmed that they have a physical representation in the world also, where you never saw that in the old movies. The Phantoms were just standing by.
They were always there to give advice, and that was it. There was no other connection.
Which, with Yoda being such a strong Force user, Jedi Master, I could see him being able to manifest in the world very strong nowadays.
Yeah.
I could definitely see the Force being used when you're a Phantom. The physical connection is weird. Interesting.
Yeah.
If they'll go anywhere else with that, I don't know. Because, like we talked about earlier, yeah, Luke never interacted with Rey again yet, but Yoda told him that you can't lose her.
Right.
So is he going to be around annoying her in the next movie as a ghost? and trying to give guidance. Because, I mean, she doesn't know he's dead.
Yeah, no, he does. Well, no, she does. She says
Oh,
that
wait, no,
felt
she
him.
felt him. Yeah, she felt
him-
Luke leave.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was wrong about that. I'm
Yeah.
dumb.
Yeah.
So,
You're right.
yes.
So she knows that he's gone, but then even Leia says they're never really gone or something like that along those lines. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens with that. I'm curious if they brought Yoda back for that one-time use, or if Yoda will also play a role in her training. I mean, she should only have one master at a time. So I don't know that.
I think unless there's another like cameo of all the ghosts in the last one, I think that was Yoda's last hurrah.
Probably.
I feel that was Yoda's last hurrah.
I mean, it would make sense.
Yeah. And because why
Also-
is he going to come to Rey? Rey has no clue what this fucking green...
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's no reason for him to, but unless he really feels a connection to saving the world, I guess,
Yeah.
to saving the universe, that'd be the only reason to do that. I mean, if Luke and her were there, then Luke would at least be able to explain who Yoda is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think if anything, it's going to be through Luke, like he did. Don't lose her. We need her.
Yeah.
And Luke doesn't know why. Yoda obviously has the inkling as to why. Maybe now Luke is going to become more enlightened.
Right.
And have something more to share.
So what do you think Luke's going to do when he realizes that Yoda trolled him with the tree? Because Yoda burns the tree down. Assuming that Yoda knew that there was no books in there and he stopped Luke from getting in there, that's why he burns the tree down. When Luke contacts Rey and those books are in the Millennium Falcon, and that he realizes that and understands that Yoda actually trolled him on that whole thing, what do you think he's going to do?
I don't know. But actually, you saying that brought up a good point in my head. If maybe that's another reason why Yoda called lightning down upon it, to show that there are no boundaries anymore.
Well, I think
light side, dark side, destroy Jedi, destroy Sith.
Well, I think he does it just because Luke would have gone in there and realized the books weren't there, and then it would have created a different issue for Luke. You know, what does he do now? Like, these books aren't here. She has these books, so now what does he do with that?
Yeah.
I think he
probably would have
Yoda,
tried to get him back.
Well, would he, or would he just say screw it and just whatever? Because Yoda burns it down and makes it sound like those books are in there when they get burned down, like they're pointless. Is pretty much how Yoda views them at this point, because there's so much experience to be passed along from master to apprentice, and then from, when that apprentice becomes a master, to the next apprentice, and so on and so forth, thus making each generation stronger by both passing on the failures and the successes. As long as you learn from the failures, you don't repeat them, and you can become stronger.
Yeah.
Teaching Ren that there will be someone who will surpass you, and that's okay, but you need to lead them down the correct path and not just assume that the darkness is going to destroy them. And that's where Luke went wrong. So passing that failure along, which he did technically, makes her stronger in return. So I think by burning the tree down, it removed the boundary for Luke, because now Luke thinks there's no books, there's no religion.
It's gone.
It's gone, sort of. And there's still Force out there, so Rey can be trained as a Force user, but it's not bound by these 5 books or whatever is there.
Guidelines.
Yeah. Also, I really wanted them to make Rey a Grey Order Force user, because I feel like in that case she in and of herself would be the balance in the Force.
Yeah, and that would be interesting. And I think they are starting to allude to there aren't 2 paths.
Yeah.
There don't need to be only 2 paths.
Right.
And so I think if it isn't the Grey Order, there is going to be some type of middle ground being talked about or sought for in this next movie. Because, obviously Kylo is very... Yeah, conflicted.
He's conflicted. He's off balance. He's not gonna...
He's not fully dark because he couldn't kill his mother.
Yeah, he's not fully dark, but he's too far from the light side to be considered to be gray.
Yeah, and he's not good.
Obviously. Yeah, he's not good. So he is dark. He hasn't, as of this movie, he hadn't quite given himself completely over. He still sees his family as as family. You know, he hasn't given them up.
Yes, and he does have potential to take that back.
Yeah, I mean that would if they do that, because there have been callbacks to each movie. I mean Force Awakens was pretty much a rehashing of A New Hope, and then this movie there were callbacks to Empire Strikes Back, but it wasn't a rehash of that story like The Force Awakens was. So I can see there being more callbacks in the next movie, as in he makes that decision to kind of turn at the very end and make the right choice, kind of like Vader did. Vader at the end of the movie, he turns once again and he kills the Sith Lord, not to become the next Sith Lord, but to end the cycle.
Yes,
is what he's trying to do. And so I wouldn't be surprised if Kylo does that and redeems himself, so he's not, he doesn't die as a purely evil person.
Yeah,
he doesn't die as Count Dooku. He dies as Ben Skywalker. He doesn't die as Kylo Ren. He dies as Ben Skywalker. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do that.
Ben Solo.
Well, depends. Does he want to take his dad's name, or does he want to take his mom's name?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious which one.
They've been calling him Skywalker.
Oh, have they?
Pretty sure they have.
Man,
it's a more prestigious name, so it would make sense in terms of that.
Yeah, I guess it would. Yeah, I don't know, but that kind of brings up. So there's definitely rehashings of Empire Strikes Back in this movie.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're on this salt planet that looks like Hoth, and a last battle with some AT-ATs coming at them.
Yeah. Well, the very beginning of the movie, they're running from the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
In the very beginning of Empire Strikes Back, they're running away. They're running away from their base, or trying to find a new base. That was the beginning of that movie. So like the beginning of the movies are very similar. They're very much callbacks to each other.
Yeah, and so I was trying to think of it along those lines too. So Return of the Jedi, Leia goes and rescues Han from not necessarily the dark guys, bad guys, but from some shady people, the Hutts. But no one's captured by the other side right now, so that's not going to be coming around. I've been trying to think of elements that could be coming from Return of the Jedi that would fit into whatever the 9th movie is going to be. I think
the redemption of Kylo Ren will be the big thing.
Mm-hmm. So do you think he's going to be redempted, if that's the right word?
I think he'll find redemption. At least I think that's what they're going to try to do. Whether it comes across as doable, I mean, so if you look at it as a trilogy, I mean, how do you redeem yourself after you kill your father? You stop yourself from killing your mother, but I mean your goal is to go dark side. So I mean, he has the potential to be redeemed, but I feel like that's what they're going to try to do.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be too far gone on this selfishness of I want to start everything anew.
Yeah,
because that's what he wants now. That killed Snoke's. I'm assuming he probably feels that Luke is gone too now.
Yeah, I would assume he would have probably.
And so he knows that he's one of the big players in the Force game now. One of the only players in the Force game now.
He knows that his only rival is Rey. He has to kill Rey in order to be untouchable, I guess. So that's where his mind would be. So he's got a one-track solution to his plan here, his problem. That's what he's gonna go down.
Now, do you think he could kill Rey? Like,
no.
Mentally be prepared to kill Rey.
Mentally, I think he's already prepared to kill Rey. I think mentally he was prepared to kill Rey in the first movie. He couldn't do it. He was caught off guard by the manifestation of her Force powers in that movie. So he wasn't expecting that. That caught him off guard in that fight. So I'll give him that. But I mean, after that, he was totally mentally ready to kill her. Even before that, he was mentally ready to kill her. And now, as seeing her as a stronger and stronger rival, he knows he has to do it if he wants to continue on.
I think he still wants to turn her.
He never offered to train her in that. He offered her a chance to rule. He did not offer as a chance to be.
But he did expect her to come to his side.
Yes, but his side in the New Order. not his side in his apprentice.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference. And then he never says, come to the dark side to her, or
No.
join me on the dark side, or let me train you in the way that I've been trained. No, we can rule together.
Now, do you think he's this lonely little boy who just wants a woman too?
I don't know. I think he's a lonely little boy that felt rejected by his family,
Yeah.
by his parents specifically, I guess.
I feel like him being able to force talk to Rey or whatever that was is like drawing him towards wanting Rey, if that makes sense.
I mean, I can see it. I don't
know if they're gonna. Maybe I'm overthinking Disney and thinking they're throwing some love stories in here, but they already are. I mean,
yeah, they are.
Rose and Finn, but
Rose, Finn, Rey.
Yeah, I still don't see there's any. I don't think there's anything between Finn and Rey.
So I feel like there was like that like budding relationship, and I think Rey sees a potential relationship with Finn, but again, Finn doesn't see those cues and I don't think he completely grasps that concept, and in such that relationship has always come across as a friendship.
Yes,
and not quite jumping that bound, even though, because if you see Rey at the end of Last Jedi looking at him and Rose, you can see that twinge of like hurt, of like, okay, I can't have this. He has someone else.
and see, is it that she can't have Finn, or she can't have that? She doesn't believe she can't have that, like the love. I think that might be what it is.
I guess you can make both, because she doesn't feel like she belongs in the universe.
I don't know. I feel like, yeah, they may have been, oh, wait, I'm a guy, you're a girl. Oh, let's think about each other. And then, oh, wait, no, we're friends. I think that's where it went. And I don't think they ever intended anything, even with the first movie. There might have been a little, whatever you would call sexual tension or whatnot. But, like, sometimes between male and female friends, there's that too. But it's one of those things, I don't know. I never saw that going anywhere. Now, her and Poe, I could see them trying to throw some Poe wanting her. Maybe she doesn't want Poe. I don't know.
I don't feel like her and Poe would be a good relationship. I don't feel like they would work well together. I could see Poe wanting her.
Exactly, and I think that's where they'll go with it. I don't know that there'll be a relationship, but I think there's going to be some tension there.
Yeah, be one-sided tension.
Mm-hmm. No, and yeah, but I just like the way that he says he knows who she is. It's one of those things like, and how you're talking about how he wants his glory. Well, maybe he wants that woman who would make him glorious too. Yeah. Because if he pulled Rey, man, he'd be pulling, quote unquote, the baddest bitch in the universe.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, he would. I don't know. Poe just seems. It seems like they don't know what to do with Poe, so I have no idea where his character's gonna go. Like I said, at the end of the movie, they make it sound like he's gonna be a leader again when he takes them off to find a way out. But I don't know. He didn't really have any actual direction in that movie. He was very just kind of floating around, just causing extra issues. So if they make him a leader, I don't see how he can. I don't think that he's shown that he can be an effective leader in this movie. Like in Force Awakens, he was making all the right calls, but again, they had like a purpose for him in that movie. So even when he screwed up and he came back and he made the right calls and all this good stuff was happening, I can see where you could have at that point you could have seen him as growing to a leader position. But then in this movie, he just flounders and flops and just...
Yeah, and I mean, after he flops at the beginning and gets half his, all but 3 ships destroyed against the Dreadnought, of course, who the fuck's going to tell him the plan? No one wants that guy to know the plan because he just fucks everything up.
Right.
And so if everything's that crucial, you keep the knowledge of what's going on to the top tier.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, you don't go and tell everybody your master plan, like...
Right.
When you only have an ace left up your sleeve, you don't.
Right, but at the same time, like, why would you think that we have 16 hours worth of fuel left? I think it was 16 hours, like 16 or 18 hours worth of fuel left. And okay, I'm going to send 2 of you out to go find the MacGuffin. Come back and be back here in 16 hours. Like, in the time frame that they give, to do all of this stuff and then
Mhm.
come back. I'm like, how is that? That just doesn't work. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe those small ships have light speed and all that
Well,
stuff.
they were
and-
traveling on light
Yeah,
speed. It's
so-
still, but I don't know. The just trying to get around, and then they get caught, and then they run around again, and now they're on a ship, and okay, so now they're moving at light speed to get back. Okay, but now you have to get through this giant ship,
Yeah.
the lead ship, which was Snoke's ship that they were on, to disable this tracking beacon, so that way the ship can then get away. Like, how do you do all of that in 16 hours? How do you?
Star Wars.
Yeah, magic of movie. I know.
Disney.
Yeah, but it just why would you think that would be a great course of action?
When you don't think anybody else has another plan, what would you do? I mean, I
I-
don't blame him for trying to come up with a plan, especially because he thinks
He's the shit.
he thinks he's solo, but he's not solo. But yeah, he thought he had to save the day.
Yeah,
And so I give him credit for that, though. Did he go about it in the right way, shape, or form? I don't know. I don't know how he could have went about it better either, really,
Yeah.
because everybody is against you, and so yeah.
yeah. I don't know. It comes back and forth with him. I just don't feel like he was well done. I mean, again, he wasn't supposed to be in the movie, and I felt like it shows, and that becomes a detriment to the movie
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it makes an issue with the storytelling overall.
Poe is on edge for me. He's a cool character, but he's not a good character. Great
No.
character.
Really,
Not my favorite.
Really, the best thing about him is BB-8.
Yes, BB-8's great.
Yeah.
I always forget that's his
his
droid.
droid. But
BB-8 is epic.
That's like the only good thing about him, in my opinion, at this point.
Yeah, BB-8. He just lends so much to the movies. But they
All the
needed a
droids
droid
do.
too. Yeah, all the droids do. Wipe that look off your face, 3PO.
Yeah. Speaking of the droids, the BB hate droid, I was surprised it didn't have as much showing in the movie. They did a lot of marketing with him.
Yeah, I don't know. And I should also say this. I didn't see any of the marketing for this movie.
That's
This
right.
was the first movie I've gone into in 10 plus years of not seeing shit.
Yeah.
So
I didn't
I had
do
no
that.
clue about it.
I didn't do that. But no, so like the BB hate droid was in like the Nissan commercials and stuff. Like they had shown him a number of times, and he really wasn't in the movie all that much.
No,
I mean-
but he was a crucial part.
Yeah,
he was
the reason
why they got
found-
caught.
Yeah, he was the reason they got caught. Well, yeah, he was the reason they got caught.
So he was crucial.
To a non necessary storytelling element.
Yeah,
I'm gonna keep coming back to that. That whole sequence is just absurd.
I don't know. I understand it. And they had to put the characters where they had to put them at the point in time. It might just be story placement, and they had to get the characters somewhere to get to this ending.
But if they would have been on the ships, they all would have been in the same place that they were with the way the movie resolved, anyways.
Theoretically, yeah.
Because
But
they would have been on the transport ships that would have gone down.
could
the
you have
salt
seen
mines.
Poe not doing anything though? Just sitting back. All right, we're gonna die in 16 hours. Let's let Holdo take care of it.
I would have rather seen Poe try to figure out what was actually going on that ship, rather than just accepting the first thing he was told. Or he wasn't even told. He made those assumptions. He just assumed that they didn't have a plan.
Yes, he assumed they didn't have
She
a
never.
plan.
She's like. She says that you're not part of this process.
Yeah, get off my bridge.
Yeah. So she doesn't say that she doesn't have a plan. She doesn't say that she has a plan. He just assumes.
Well, even the
And-
people
and-
on the bridge
and
didn't
as-
know there was a plan because he had it in on the bridge. That
He had
one lady.
he had the one
so she
girl.
had no clue there was a plan.
No, but there were others who knew that there was a
Mhm.
plan, and I would think that as someone who's supposed to be well regarded and who was supposed to be before this movie was well regarded and who was supposed to be a potential leader would have tried to find what was really going on within the leadership
Mhm.
rather than just assuming. And again, I guess you're in a stressful situation, so yeah, I guess you can just assume the first thing that comes in
Yeah.
your mind, but he becomes a weak character because of it.
Yeah, and he is very.
And coming from such a strong character in the first movie to be such a weak character in the second movie,
But it shows his trigger happiness. He goes with his gut instinct, and he ran with it, which is why
Which
it's
is
dangerous to give him.
very wrong in,
Yeah,
in this entire
dangerous
movie.
to give him too much information. And I mean, great leaders just don't give out information
Yeah.
like that. They don't let in on their plan, so there can't be a weakness.
No.
And so I agree with Holdo in that situation. I mean, Holdo was a great character. I didn't think I'd like her in the beginning.
Yeah.
And she changed. She was part of that. What the fuck is going on here in the beginning of this movie?
Yeah, no, she was.
And
at first, I
then
thought she was going to be the Leia replacement.
Yeah, I thought so too.
That's what I thought was
And
happening.
I was like, before halfway. I guess Leia coming back is also kind of in that halfway period for me where I wasn't quite happy that she came back, but I didn't think that should be it. Like Leia dying like that.
Yeah. Well, so I was talking to Ray about that. When they made the movie, obviously she passed away before
Post-production though. Yeah. So that was already laid out.
Right. So they could have gone back and they could have written her out in a number of spots in that movie, and they decided that the way they were doing it was they were going to make the movie that she had signed on for, the movie that she knew, the movie that she did, and not write her out. I'm just curious how that affects the next movie. There's a lot of deleted scenes from this movie. There's apparently a ton of deleted scenes, which makes sense for the way the movie was cut and for all the unnecessary things that happened. There had to be a lot of material left on the cutting room floor. So I'm interested to see what they decide to do about her in the next movie. You can CG on someone's face, but I've seen how badly that can be.
Yeah, it definitely didn't work great, but they can do it.
Yeah, but no. So
and they have done it
in Rogue One. They did a really good job.
Grand Moff Tarkin, I think they did a good job. On Leia, I think they botched completely.
Well, again, so I'm gonna say in Rogue One they did a really good job. In Justice League, they had to digitally remove Superman, the guy who plays Superman, when they came back for reshoots or something. They had to digitally remove his mustache because he had a contract for a movie he was doing and he couldn't shave it off.
Oh.
So they had to digitally remove it, and it looked horrendous. Like the worst thing I have ever. It looked so bad. Like his upper lip was just so.
Just looked like a blob, probably.
It was so bad, and that's where when you think about, are they going to CGI her in for a couple scenes, then kill her off? I worry how that ends up looking.
Yeah, I haven't seen the Fast and the Furious movie that Paul Walker died in the shooting of, but I know they used his brother and then put his face on it. And I don't know how badly he looks for half the movie, but apparently only half that movie is like Paul Walker.
Okay.
So it's been done in the past.
I stopped watching the Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, I stopped a long time ago too, but I've seen been done.
I've seen a couple here and there when someone really wanted to go, but
yeah, no, I won't even get on those movies. But they did some technology after an actor died to keep him in the movie.
Yeah.
Now, if they will do that long enough to still get the story there before they kill Leia, because inevitably I think Leia's was going to die.
Well, they've been phasing out all the old characters, so it was inevitable that was going to happen. I guess watching the movie and knowing Carrie Fisher passed away, all of those times that Leia almost died, I was like, oh, so this is the part where they write her out. Oh, this is the part where they write her out. Because I didn't know. I saw a lot of the marketing. I tried not to read a lot of the articles because I didn't want to know too much of what was actually happening.
Yeah.
So other than I saw one trailer and random marketing things, I just assumed that they were going to write her out, and then they never did. And all of those moments that she almost died, I was like, oh, so this is that point. And then it ends up being Luke is the one who dies.
See, I don't know. After they said, when they brought her back on the ship and they were taking her to the medical area, when they said she's in cardiac arrest, I was like, they can't let her go this way.
I thought she was in a coma.
I will have to double check when I see it again, but I thought they said cardiac arrest, which is how she died, right?
Maybe. I don't know. I just remember her. I remember them saying that she was in a coma.
Okay,
and that's why she hadn't passed away, so she was in a coma.
Yeah,
she may have had cardiac arrest, and that's what caused the coma.
Yeah,
maybe we're both right.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought that's what I heard, and when I heard that, I was like, they can't let her die this way. She's coming back. Because I don't know. It would be so fucking tacky if they had her die in the movie the way she died in real life. I think it'd be tacky.
Yeah,
maybe not. But after that, I knew she wasn't going to be dead. I just didn't know when she was coming back.
Yeah. Well, there's just so many times where she could have stayed on the ship, and Holdo could have gotten on with everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the salt mine at the very end of the movie, She could have stayed in the salt mine and sent everyone else on the Falcon. There were just so many moments where it's like, oh, this could happen now. Oh, this could happen now.
But it didn't.
It didn't. I mean, I'm not mad about it.
Yeah.
I was expecting her to be written out just because, Carrie Fisher passed away.
And maybe that's a whole, let's throw the fans in left field. Let's have them guessing.
Yeah.
It might be a whole tactic. I don't know. It's really interesting. I have no clue where the next movie is going to go. I don't know how they're going to wrap up Star Wars. I mean, I know they're starting another trilogy. It has nothing to do with this trilogy. So how are they going to wrap up this saga? It's very open. And because depending on how they wrap it up, is there going to be room for other things to grow after? Or are they going to just go back into the universe in previous days, like Knights of the Old Republic time? I believe that's when the new trilogy is going to be set, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I know. I just know there was going to be a new trilogy. I don't know anything about it. I have no clue what the rumor is for what they're going to do.
Yeah. But all in all, I enjoyed the movie, especially going and not knowing shit about the movie.
Yeah.
Going there, thought it had a very weak start, but then everything pulled together for me, and it was okay. It was a great movie.
As a fan of the canon of the stuff, I enjoy it. But as a person, I'm conflicted over some of the really bad storytelling. I'm conflicted over just poor story choices that I expect in video games, not in not in a quality franchise like Star Wars.
That makes sense.
That's where my confliction comes from.
And I can understand that. I can definitely understand. It maybe also I'm expecting movies to be shitty nowadays because most of the time they are. And so it was a not bad movie. And so I'm very happy that Star Wars wasn't bad.
That's kind of the approach DC is taking. If we make everything else shitty and we make one really good movie, they'll still love us.
Yes, that is probably true.
Wonder Woman's great. Everything else is pretty much sucked.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm happy where the series is at. I'm happy where it's going. I think I'll be happy when it ends too.
I'm sure I'll enjoy. I mean, again, I enjoyed it. There were just really poor storytelling aspects, and that's why I'm conflicted. But I'll see the next movie. I've seen the prequel trilogy. I've seen the original trilogy. I went and bought the prequel original trilogy box set on Blu-ray, and so I started watching. I watched through all the prequels a few months ago, and if I can do that, I suppose I can still enjoy whatever's coming.
Very true. And I mean, I
think the final movie, Jar Jar Binks, Sith Lord.
I think he's dead, right? He should be dead. I hope he's dead.
I don't think he's dead.
Damn it.
Pretty sure he's not dead.
Kill Jar Jar Binks. Who's with me?
No, never.
Him and his boo balls.
Misa, love you.
Oh, long time. Yeah, no. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where it goes, especially with the Solo movie too. But Disney, I have my faith in them, and I think they won't completely screw it up.
At this point, I'm more interested to see what happens with the Solo movie because I was in production, then not going to be in production. Now it's back into going to do it. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do with that.
Yeah, it's official.
And see what else they come up with. I mean, they're trying to expand on the universe while still giving you the main universe itself. Giving you these in-between stories and stuff, which worked out well before. So we'll see how they keep doing it. Disney at least has the wherewithal to understand what it means to stick with canon. And I think because of their time with Marvel, they've learned a little bit more about the creative process with some of these things and are a little more willing to let the creators and the actors to do things and to let these studios who are entrusting the directors to do their jobs.
Makes sense. I mean, Disney is growing as a company, maturing. Obviously, they're growing. I mean, they're probably about to buy everything. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure next week they're going to own my soul.
Yeah, probably.
Well, what's left of it.
I mean, but who can go wrong with Tim Curry being a Disney princess, a Disney drag princess?
I mean, we'll take it.
It's epic. I mean, Rocky Horror Picture Show is now a Disney, so he's a Disney princess, or will be Disney probably.
Well, yeah, he could be Disney. The Dragon Ball movies and stuff might have some rights, or Disney might have some rights to those. That'd be interesting to see what. Okay. Here's a great prediction for you: Star Wars, Avengers, Dragon Ball Z, all in one movie.
I think people will kill themselves. I think people will just kill themselves. Some people's heads will explode, but the rest will just kill themselves.
I'd still go see it. I would know it'd be terrible, but I would still go see it.
I think I might need to become a martyr and shoot the director. That'd be the only way.
I don't know who would want to touch that movie.
No, I don't think anybody.
It would turn into the Halo movie where everyone was doing it, including Peter Jackson, and then nobody did it.
Ah, yes. Well, I digress.
See, I brought it back to gaming.
Yes.
It's all comes full circle here.
Well, we were talking about
Talking about Star Wars games too at one
yeah,
point.
exactly. So it all fits. But nevertheless, I am proud of where Disney's been going. I'm happy with what they've been doing. I can't say I hate it. And so with that, I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean they're pulling a Nintendo and they know how to make money off of nostalgia. So
It's very true.
I guess if I'm gonna give them my money, I can't really complain.
Exactly. Got to catch them all, or I guess watch them all, in this case. Let us know what some of your thoughts are about the movie. Comment on this. Let us know what you thought. Let us know what you thought of our ideas. Maybe we missed something that you guys know.
Or I just don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, and you can tell me that too.
Yeah, that's very possible. We just got fucking delusions of grandeur.
Yeah. I think this is going to be our first public post.
I believe so.
So leave some comments. Let us know what you think. We're still figuring stuff out, so we'll take some advice along the way. Feel free to leave some.
Oh, yeah. Constructive criticism, always welcome.
Yes.
And with that, may the force be with you.
Later.